So what's next on the workbench? We now have the quite stunning 47164 Stratford based Union Jack liveried loco from the Queens Silver Jubilee in 1977. A little bit of noise. So 47164 has the details fitted after a fashion along the buffer beam. I went for the hook and the pipes. Instructions were very poor for which pipes went where, but I used a photograph and that's a fair representation. Well, I did not fit the brake actuators that go on top of the corners of each of the bogies, 8 of them in all. And the reason being is they're going to catch the buffer beam cowling when the loco goes round curves. It will after all be a working model and not a static one. Anyway, here she is on the rolling road. You can see the domino head coder light. Let's just change direction. Now, because I've chosen to fit the detail parts to both ends of the Class 47, we couldn't use the normal tight lock coupler. So what I tend to do now is bend myself a coupling adapter. You need some stout wire, some wire cutters, nice little pair of pliers, and here I use a jig. These 2 pins. So there's the wire bent. Now all I need to do is cut off the excess about there, and there is the wire coupling in place. Now it doesn't look marvellous perhaps because it has to stick out the sides so that the coupling can slide for the curves. So we now come to the rather lovely Jubilee. Pleasing to note that the coupling rods seem to be the right way up. So for this we have got a number of parts to fit. Brake rodding, various other little bits and pieces. There's also looks to be another tender coupling hook there. But the biggest job will be fitting the etched numbers and nameplates. There's nothing at all, if you notice, on this model. Usually you do have some sort of nameplate that they fit, but you usually stick over. I will be using a clear impact adhesive, just some tiny dots to hold the numbers and plate in place. This gives you a little bit of time to work before it goes off. I don't like the super glue because you get that horrible white bloom off it. But anyway, let's see how we get on. But just before we do, I want to show you the cab detail in this one. I don't know if I did on the preview video, so let's have a look to the cab detail. Right, we've got the Jubilee on test, completely dry of any lubrication on the axles, coupling rods, valve gear. So that's had a little bit, quite a nice lot of action going on. And next job is to fit the brake rodding. So I'll do that and then press on, fitting numbers and names. Okay, the Jubilee is done. Some compromises couldn't fit the front steps. They would go here, and as you can see when it's coming across the points there, the wheels would definitely be hitting it. Just about got the cylinder drain cocks in. They're tight, but they just about clear. Another compromise, if I just bring her up a little bit, just bring her forward a bit. Despite the fact that they supply etched metal number plates, because there's rivet detail on the body, it was impossible to get a smooth and even fit. Now that's as close in as I can get with the camera. There's a nameplate, Silver Jubilee. So the details I did fit were obviously the tender brake rigging, as well as the loco brake rigging. I always think that looks nice. I fitted the cab doors and the additional glazing. So when I began running in the Class 47, I noticed she was making a wretched grinding noise, which I didn't think would change with more running in. Sounded to me like dry motor bearings, and it does say in the instructions that you should oil the motor bearings occasionally. So I thought I'd pop the body off and see if I could get access to the motor, and that was my biggest mistake ever. The body is allegedly secured by 6 screws, 4 at the sides and 1 at each end of the loco underneath, silver ones. I undid all these screws and, following the instructions, went to release the clips by the cab doors. Now these clips are actually plastic clips on the chassis that engage in the perspex door glazing, which, as everybody knows, is extremely brittle. So you know what's going to happen when you try and flex that. Anyway, I duly did that and put my bits of card down the sides to open up the body, and then began withdrawing the body. And to my horror, as I did so, the cab inserts slid out, still attached to the chassis, ripping out one of the windows, breaking off one of the tail lights, and causing other damage as well. And when I looked, I discovered that despite the fact that the screw is to release the cab insert so that it stays in the roof, I discovered that someone had used a great load of black glue type stuff to hold the wires in the slots, and this had adhered to the underside of the insert, holding it down, causing it to crash everything as you pulled it apart. Anyway, I repaired all that, put the windows back in, removed the glue and pushed it into the holes a bit more, and reinserted everything. Do you think it would go back together? Oh no. You have a devil's own job trying to line up the hole on the cab insert, well, the pillar rather, on the cab insert, and the hole on the underside of the chassis. And then you can't get those wretched perspex lugs to engage. Not only that, but the only thing that holds the domino head code in is a piece of black tape which has been cut out to allow the light to shine through. This also has the effect of stopping the light shining through around the sides of the domino. This, because the cab inserts got pulled out, was ruined, so I had to make my own, re-adhere it, and eventually got there. Eventually managed to get the body back on, covered in fingerprints. So, not overly pleased with that. Oh, and guess what? I couldn't oil the motor bearings because that would have required me to strip the thing down completely, removing the bogies and everything to get at the motor. Why they don't have an access hole for oiling, if you're meant to oil it, which I assume you are, I really don't know. Wouldn't have put much cost on production. Not overly pleased with Bachmann in this regard. Never mind. Anyway, what we're going to do now is take a look at the loco running, but we'll start off with the Jubilee, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Cheers then.